What's going on, everybody? We're doing a Legion battle report today, and Sean is playing Rebels. I'm playing Empire, and Sean has got Han Solo, improvised orders, environmental gear, Chewie, tenacity and hunter, Jin, pistol, duck and cover, and strict orders. Rebel troopers with Rebel trooper, Rebel troopers with Rebel trooper, Rebel troopers without the trooper. POW with his Pathfinders with POW, 300 the config and duck and cover. And then Bastan, duck and cover, and config. And then one sniper. So no vehicles.
Nope.
Ooh, all right. Let's see what I'm running. For me, I'm running Krennic, but with nothing. 2 units of Death Troopers, each with the DLT-19 Delta and Overwatch. 2 units of Stormtroopers, each with DLT-19 and Stormtrooper. 2 units of Snowtroopers with Flame, Recon, Intel, Frag, and Snowtrooper. And 2 E-Webs. Each with Barrage Generator and HQ Uplink. And I only pull out 1 card for each because I only really need to reference the one. But since these are exhausts, I pulled those out. But like for these guys, I don't bother pulling out. I'm just playing casually. I don't bother pulling out every single card when there's no... Only if there's a difference between the units do I do that. Here's the battlefield. We ended up getting advanced positions, intercept the transmissions, and minefield. And so intercepting the transmissions, we've got here, here, and here, and then the mines are 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that one's just barely outside of his, beyond range 1 of his deployment zones. And we're going to start deploying, and we're going to try to find a good spot for this camera to try to get as much as we can. And deployment.
Oh, that's right. I'm going first.
So for the rest of this game, I'll just be doing the narration as I'm speeding up all of the video just to kind of make it go a little faster for you. Plus, nobody really wants to watch setup so much. So at the start of the game, I was a little surprised Sean had the first deployment, did not deploy the Pathfinders first, instead just deployed a normal unit. And I thought for a second, wait, now I can just drop some guy kind of centrally located and block out a huge area of where his Pathfinders could go. But I think Sean was... more trying to not make the same mistakes he's made in the past, which is to put Pathfinders out too far ahead and then have them die way too early. Now, I just deploy a Stormtrooper unit there. They are led by Commander Crabbok. I'm proxying the Commander Crabbok miniature from Mel Miniatures as my Stormtrooper unit leader. But he's just a normal Stormtrooper in this one. This wasn't a custom battle report here. So I covered up my side of the board on the right, and then I'm covering up like my bottom side of the board here with an E-Web. And I love that the E-Webs are able to move here with this deployment. But they do move and try to activate this bomb right away. But I roll the Surge, and the mine detonates twice on my E-Web, which nearly kills it before turn 1. It starts off with getting 2 suppression, 3 damage. I accidentally put 4 damage out there. But yeah, the E-Web. I cleared the mine, but goodness, I almost lost the E-Web right away. And yeah, so that ends up happening. So Sean's deploying Chewbacca and some other rebels there towards the top of the screen to try to control that top section of the map. Again, this is a battlefield that's going to have 3 distinct sections. The bottom control point is kind of right behind the tall building at the bottom. The top control point is just behind the large tree in the top of the map. And then the middle one is right on the riverbank, right in the center of the map. So I'll have a pretty good control of the bottom one. He'll have a pretty good control of the top one. And this is really going to be a fight for the center of the battlefield. So Sean is, deploying a couple of guys. He's got like 3 so far towards the top of the battlefield. Now he's starting to deploy his forces in the middle of the battlefield. And I figure with multiple E-Webs being deployed as far forward as they can, and also gaining Scout 1, I think that's going to give me a tremendous control of the middle. I deploy some DLT Stormtroopers over here as far forward as I can on my bottom side, or on the left-hand side of your map, to try to put some pressure on those, Chewbacca and the other rebels that are up top. And now he deploys Han Solo in the center of the battlefield, kind of going to make a run towards the center of the objective. I think he kind of acknowledged later that this might have not been the smartest thing to have Han so far away from Chewie. But I'm taking advantage of that and putting the other E-Web, doing a partial move with his Scout 1 and overlapping fields of fire with both E-webs right here pointed towards the middle. And Sean goes and drops another rebel trooper kind of behind that, back behind that little piece of terrain. Those are his snipers, and they're at just an angle where they're going to have a shot on either of my E-webs. So those sniper strike teams are just deadly. There's a lot of flat terrain in the center of this map, and that's something that's, you may have sometimes. We usually have a lot more blocking terrain, but this time we changed it up, and I think that's, the terrain speaks a lot to the battle, and you can't always have that confirmation that you're going to have a lot of blocking terrain. This one had less. There still is blocking terrain on the sides and all over the place, but this one has a big wide open area in the middle, and that's going to provide a really interesting challenge for both of us trying to control that center piece, because it's going to be it's likely to become a straight up slugfest. My hopes for this one is that my list with the Death Troopers and their Sentinel being extended, the standby range of 3, and then also with the E-webs having the standby range of 3, I can really leverage, standby covering that, the middle center objective, and then I'm deploying some more Death Troopers over here to the side to try to get some early harassment on some of those troopers that are towards the back of the battlefield, and they're gonna go ahead and move there as well. And I love the Scout one for this one, though. It's nice giving everybody the ability to move. It was nice with my Snow Troopers having the ability to move Scout 2 because they have Scout 1 already with the upgrades that I've given them. So, that numerical value stacking is always good. And out comes Krennic to try to be able to hit a trooper right away. And here's kind of just a quick look at the battlefield. So you can see it from some different angles. This is something I'm doing a little more of now. Instead of just having the static camera, I'm kind of showcasing the whole battlefield briefly. So Sean's going to start off with push, and I played Krennic's 3-pip right away for turn 1. Suppression to everyone. The hope here is, that I can slow some of those units down from rushing towards the middle and allow my guys to kind of take advantage of everything there. But because he has a 2-pip, and I have a 1-pip, he is going to activate first. And since I do have an E-web that's only 1 health remaining, it doesn't look good for me. If he just is able to get 1 shot on that E-web, I'll lose a unit before having a chance to do anything, which is never what you want to see. Never what you want to see. So he shoots with his sniper and does kill the E-web right away. So he activates the sniper first. Really unfortunate for me losing that E-web right away. So, but I did HQ uplink with both E-webs and gave 3 units their upgrades there. So I mean, I've got almost full battlefield control, and so I go with the Snow Troopers first. They are able to rally, and they do move, and it looks like they have just enough range to get into range 1 of those Pathfinders that are in the center of the battlefield, and that is the Bistan Pathfinder unit. So we're going to be rolling flamethrower and fragmentation grenades. So here comes a lot of dice for this Pathfinder. That's going to be a full Snow Trooper unit with that. Also, we were looking at, I think, 10 dice, 5 red for the frag, and then 5 black for the Pathfinder. So lots of about 6 hits right here on those Pathfinders. And he only rolls 3 blocks, so he is able to, or 2 blocks. Yeah, so he loses everybody except for the leader, which also takes out Bistan. So now I don't feel so bad about losing an E-web right away. So really strong hit against that Pathfinder right there in the center. And he is going to activate the POW Pathfinder unit that's just behind these guys. He's going to move them over, try and get them into their range 3 so they can roll extra white dice. And he's just going to fire at the Death Troopers that are off to the right. And they're going to roll 2 blocks with defensive surge, and they take another suppression, but they do not lose anybody. That red dice with defensive surge proving to be very hard to penetrate. So Death Troopers getting it done. Now in comes an E-web, who is going to be able to move, and he does not rally, but he's got courage of 2, so he's going to move and stand by. And the standby is going to be fun. The only problem with standby is if you do get shot, you'll get a suppression before you can trigger that standby. I think we used to play that wrong a long time ago because there was some discussion over like, wait, no, I get to shoot you back. And we looked it up, and yeah, you're able to, if they hit you, then they're able to, assign you that suppression token, which does remove the standby before you can act. Now, if they aim and shoot, then you can react to the aim. But his one surviving Pathfinder was just in range to be able to go ahead and throw a suppression on that E-Web, so wasted my standby. So I was not happy about that. It was good use of a single unit that's remaining there too as well. So here my snowtroopers do not rally, but I use Krennic to give them a free move anyway, which they then get to tack on to their, an attack, and then they also have another action on top of that. So it turns into, you take when somebody was only going to have one action and you turn it into 3 actions because they're snowtroopers, and snowtroopers are probably my favorite unit. Absolutely love them. And so they roll a whole bunch of dice and don't manage to get any damage, which is unfortunate. So Sean's activating some troopers that are there in the back. They got hit from the mine, so they had a suppression. That was one of the things that also let me want to play Annihilation Looms, is that some of his units up at the top already had suppression from the mine blowing up on them. And because he tried to, get those early with the Scout 1. So I was like, maybe I can force somebody to panic right off the bat. But they do manage to rally, and so I didn't get those early troopers. So now we're going to activate some Death Troopers who are going to move up, and they're going to stand by and get a free aim token. It's those chrome silver Death Troopers right there at the center of the screen. I'm looking to take advantage of that Overwatch range 3. Now there is a unit within range 3, so he's going to activate this regular Rebel Trooper unit, and he's going to have them kind of check range and figure out what to do. So he does shoot. Wait, what is he only? He's splitting fire from a different unit, I think. I don't remember which unit's activated because it looks like he only rolled 1 hit, and I will, I'm able to dodge, and unfortunately, he's shooting. Never mind. He's actually shooting my other Death Trooper unit, and he took out 2 of them. So that's those are the ones at the right-hand side of the screen. And I'm afraid that they're going to panic at this point, so now I want to move Krennic close enough to that Death Trooper unit where he can both compel them and also prevent them from panicking. So either one. So Krennic's getting a little closer, and he managed to just make it to range 2 of those bottom Death Troopers to try to get the most out of them before they do die, because granted they're hard to kill, but he's got about 4 units firing at them right now, which is not the most lovely thing. Oh, that was Jan Ors. He had Jan, who's kind of hidden behind the building. She's the one that fired at the Death Troopers. So my Stormtroopers at the bottom try to rally, and they fail, so they're only getting 1 action, and I think they just take a shot measuring range here because I've got the DLT in there. So even though they're pretty far back, they do have a lot of range. Just depends on what they can see. So we're checking range here. But yes, suppression. I mean, it's definitely a risky move with Krennic's 3-pip, but I think it comboing with the minefields really gives you a lot of suppression before the game even starts, which is fun. And I think this would have worked better if I'd given the Death Troopers their range 4 config to also apply suppression, really far out. At this point, I was thinking that might have been a better plan, because I could have really put pressure on some units and potentially made them panic a little bit earlier. So we're trying to rally for the Death Troopers. Krennic will go ahead and compel them, so they're going to get a suppression back, or checking range first, because I want to get them in range 2 so they can use their white die. So they compel, they take in the suppression they just lost, they gain it back because they're not panicked yet. So they're going to get a free move, and now they're going ahead and shoot. And I'm thinking, you know what? They have multiple weapons. I could split fire. I have 3 different guys here, the DLT, and then the 2 regular Death Troopers. I could potentially split fire 3 ways, but I decided to only split it 2 ways because I don't quite have line of sight on Han from where the building is. It was just barely blocking, or to one of the units that I wanted to shoot was just barely blocking. So I do split fire, and we get some extra suppression out there, which is very nice. The DLT Trooper is just such a good Death Trooper to have, too, with his 3 dice at range 4. It's really nice. Now, there were no vehicles in this battle, so the impact we have on all my DLTs kind of goes to waste. Kind of wish they had Pierce instead, but that might be a little bit too broken. So he's taking some shots on my E-Web now, who's at 3 health. So my last E-Web still hasn't. None of my E-Webs got to fire, which is a kind of a bummer so far. The one got standbyed and shut down. I probably should have just fired. But now I'll bring up the Commander Crabbok Stormtrooper unit, and I think they're they're old clones from the Clone Wars that never removed their inhibitor chip, and they're going to go ahead and try and fire at Han, and they get a little damage on him. And so a Rebel Trooper unit is moving out from behind there. Then they're just a basic Rebel Trooper unit, but they're going to start taking some shots. And here we are at the end of turn 1. You can kind of get just a different angle on everything. A lot of suppression out there. Han is going to be coming in, and at this point I'm predicting that he's going to go ahead and play. Yeah, and he plays Sorry About the Mess, and I play Coordinated Fire. I figured if he put Han that 4 forward, he was going to guarantee that Han went first, so I didn't want to waste a 1 pip for Krennic, considering that he can tie, but he wouldn't have tied that because that's a 0 pip. So Coordinated Fire, I've got 4 core that are still alive, so it's the best time to use it. And I've got 3 core that were in range of Krennic, so I give both Snowtroopers and then the one Commander Crabbok Clone Trooper Stormtrooper unit the order, and we're going to be passing. We'll get some extra aim tokens this turn, so that's going to be helpful. So he's trying to figure out what to do with Han right now, because Han has an aim and a dodge, and he moves in and he splits fire, and he's got the Pierce, so like he takes out 2 Death Troopers right away, and he takes out the E-Web right away. So my Death Trooper Chrome unit, kind of in the middle left of the screen, they're losing numbers very quickly now, and I think as tough as Death Troopers are, Pierce is a really effective way of just taking down their numbers, because once you start, one by one, each one you remove makes them that much weaker, and they're really, really strong when they're at full strength, especially being able to split fire that many ways. So yeah, Han Solo is definitely likes to kill Death Troopers. So now I have my Snow Troopers attack Han with just about everything they've got, and that does kill Han. So vengeance for my dead E-Wing E-Webs, and I was afraid of Han's 3-pip, especially if I tried to play one of Krennic's cards. We're trying to see if I can take a shot on snipers. We're checking range for things. We move. Sometimes you have to move to range just to get that bird's eye view or that line of sight view, but to see if there's a shot. And sure enough, and the snipers are nasty too against Death Troopers. That's another thing. As strong as they are, Pierce is a very, very effective tool against them. That's one thing I found out in this game. It didn't matter that I had red dice with defensive surge. Pierce was going to really hurt me. So I think we're moving Krennic. No, we're moving Snow Troopers up at this point. Oh, yes. And they're partially wounded, but they're still, Snow Troopers are effective all the way down to about the end. Oh, we're taking a shot on, I think, Han Solo, just so he doesn't get cover, and that's why we rolled the 1 black die for the Flame Trooper, even though it was against 1. No, not against Han. This is against... I don't know who this is against. I don't know who they shot right there. But there was only 1 black die, so we were probably shooting a unit that had 1 health remaining. Might have been Jin, because Jin is just out of view behind the building on the right. I think that's what we were going for. Oh no, that's what killed Han. That was the shot right there that killed Han. Han did not die earlier, so I misspoke. I was looking at the mini that was on the unit card. But yeah, we managed to kill Han, which is definitely important. And now Krennic takes a shot, trying to kill that 1 trooper, and we do finish off that last Pathfinder, or that first Pathfinder unit that had 1 left over. And Krennic's actually got a decent weapon, too. He's rolling 3 dice, red, black, and white. He's got Surge to crit, and he's got Pierce 1, he's got Sharpshooter 1. He's not a bad guy especially to go after our unit that's already suppressed, that's going to get light cover. It's a great, he's got a great... if you can get him within range. And he's got 6 health, so he can survive. Now, he's only got the paper armor. He's got the white defense die. So, I can see running Krennic with some Royal Guard to kind of make sure that he's there. And he's able to survive, and they can block for him. But again, with 6 hull or 6 health, you don't necessarily have to block for him. You can probably get away without doing that. So here we are in like middle of round 2, and we're doing some more shooting. I think, yeah, and I'm able to have my Death Trooper shoot and then move, and that's going to just kind of keep him, putting some suppression out there. With only one Death Trooper, I'm not going to be able to get any damage through these guys that have light or even heavy cover. But what I can do is I can put more suppression on them. Or, of course, maybe fishing for crits. And it's always fun to try and do that. But, yeah. Snow Troopers now, I think they're activating. We're checking range. Or either the Snow Troopers or the Storm Troopers. And Sean is activating the one Rebel Trooper he has by that tree, that regular unit, and he's going to attack some Snow Troopers, and they are losing. My red dice are now turning into blank red dice, which happens to me all the time, unfortunately. Sometimes they work really well, but not always. Now we're moving up Rebel Troopers and taking some shots on, I believe, Jin. We're going to get 3 hits in, and Jin's going to roll extra dice because of danger sense and duck and cover. So we got 2 damage on Jin, so we started to wound her, and that's a good thing, because Jin's hard to kill. Did I say Jan or Jin? I always get Jin and Jan mixed up because they both were a woman in Star Wars that, helped steal the Death Star plans, depending on if it's canon or or not. So I was like, I wished they had chosen a different name, because I'm like, wait, you have Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors from Dark Forces, and then Jin Erso, and it sounded so much like Jan Ors too. Jin Urs, Jan Ors, it's like they made it awfully similar. So finally moved those Stormtroopers out of the way, and we're going to start taking some shots. So we split fire with a DLT, and then we roll some whites. Not much, but at least a little suppression on Chewbacca. And, yeah, decided to, in this case, there's no point in, I might as well shoot Chewie. He doesn't have defensive surge, at least, so I'm more likely to get the damage through on him. And, it all really matters to where are you going to put the suppression. Because Chewie is not enraged yet, so he can actually lose actions if you are able to suppress him enough. Unlikely to really make him panic, though. And so Sean's going to move some Pathfinders, the POW Pathfinder unit, up a little bit, and they're going to take some shots, rolling lots of white dice. They're Pathfinders, they're a pretty good unit. They're a pretty darn good unit. And he's going after Snow Troopers. There's still 2 left of the Snow Troopers. So Sean's got the left side of the board covered pretty good. I've got the right side of the board covered pretty good. I did score, because this was a scoring round for the center, and he plays Rebellious, and I play Voracious Ambition. So 1 versus 1. Krennic does win that one automatically. So I do get to go first. However, I mean, with Jin, if you know you're not going to win, Voracious Ambition's a good, or Rebellious is a good one, because she can still interrupt. So here I am trying to figure out, well, whoever I activate, if I activate like my Snow Troopers or somebody like that, she'll just charge them and kill them. So that's rough. I don't know if I want to do that. So it's like the only thing I can do that he can't really interrupt is these Stormtroopers that are really far away from Jin. So I decide to activate them. I do move them into range 3, and then we're going to open fire on Jin with everything. Lots of white and 2 red, and try to get some more damage in. We get 2 damage in, and we managed to get 2 more damage on her. So he whiffs the roll, which is good. And he does not activate Duck and Cover this time because she already has a lot of suppression. I think she's got 3 at this point. And he doesn't want her to panic, or rather, he doesn't want her to lose an action, because she's going to need those actions, especially with the free aim and dodge action. It's a really good, kind of 2-for-1 action economy. So now he moves his Pathfinders up. He's trying to see, do I shoot these Snow Troopers? But the problem is they have light cover and behind a tree, so that's actually going to give them heavy cover. So just kind of adjusting the camera now, since a lot of the action is taking place a little bit closer to the center. We don't need quite such a wide shot anymore. And I think this is actually a much better shot to kind of see what's going on in this little alley between these buildings. So I go with Krennic. Krennic is going to shoot Jyn. He does not interrupt at this point. He opts not to use her interrupt ability because she can only do that once. And so I figured Krennic's Pierce would get some damage on her, and we do get 1, but not 2, and we really needed 1 more damage on Jyn, but we couldn't do it. So I was really hoping, and that's where Danger Sense really comes in, because that's like, you have Pierce 1? No problem. I'm rolling 4 extra dice. So I activate the Stormtroopers. Jyn does charge them, interrupts them with her Tonfa, only gets 2 damage in, and I roll and I block 1, so I lose 1. Now they rally. They do remove the suppression, so I can't aim and punch, but they will just straight up punch, and I get 3 damage in with a punch, and that kills Jyn. So she interrupted us, but she died as a result of it. So and that was what I was trying to do. Now he's out of commanders. I killed both of his commanders, and I feel pretty good at this point. I feel like I've probably got this game in the bag because I've got Krennic still. I've got lots of command cards I can play, and with 2 commanders dead, I'm guessing he probably doesn't have much else in the way of, like, outside of standing orders. Granted, I don't know that because it's secret information, and now we're getting enough commanders where it's like I really don't know. And so maybe that new Imperial 1 pip, look at a random card from your opponent's hand. Maybe at that point, it's going to start being useful. But then again, at a time like this, if he plays standing orders, then I'm like, okay, well, now I know you don't have anything else. Although, granted, you don't really know that. Like a smart player might hold on to push or ambush for maybe turn 6 when you didn't think they had anything, so you played some lousy 2-pip or 3-pip, and all of a sudden they surprise you. So I could see that being one strategy. But we're trying to take out these troopers here. We're going to try and rally. We get rid of 1. We're not panicked because we're close enough to Krennic. Krennic is going to compel them, give them a free move, which then they're able to shoot. And they're touching the barricades, but it's okay. We have blast. We're using a flamethrower. Only 2 snow troopers still throw 5 dice, and he whiffs, or almost whiffs. So we take that last unit down to only 2 remaining. I do have 1 more action because the free move was from Krennic. So for our second action, we just move and kind of put ourselves behind the barricade for all the other shots that might be coming, especially those snipers. If they try to go, I'll at least have heavy cover. Their sharpshooter 1 will reduce me only to light cover as opposed to taking me down all the way to nothing. So trying to protect those snow troopers because they're my bread and butter right now. Snow troopers, I've said it before and again, they're my favorite unit in the game, especially when you give them those fragmentation grenades and you include some other commander that can give them free movement. And I think Krennic works so well with the snow troopers. It's just great. Wouldn't mind having Vader there too, but Vader will never be suppressed but not panic because he can't be suppressed. So Vader won't really be able to be compelled by Krennic. And turn 4, I go deploy the garrison, and he goes standing orders only, so confirming my suspicions. Deploy the garrison. It's going to give me some free standbys. And this is really nice with a Death Trooper because I get a free aim at the beginning also. So even if I don't end up doing standby, because again, I've tried standby multiple times so far, has not worked. At least in the case of Death Troopers, they're going to get a free aim. So I could see, and ultimately I had planned to do this with also my E-Webs, so I could HQ uplink with them, give a free Death Trooper an order, maybe issue 1 Death Trooper an order, give Krennic an order, and then 1 other core, and then have all the rest of the core in the pile, and just kind of do that. Or rather, Krennic Death Trooper. Yeah, I could have controlled the whole battlefield with that 2-pip by giving 1 Death Trooper command and Krennic a command, and then I automatically entourage the other Death Trooper, HQ uplink for the E-Webs, and have all the core in the pile. But we're not able to really do it. And so we're on turn 4. Chewie's making a push for the center. This is a scoring round, and he's trying to get in there and get the upper hand, because this one, because I got an early lead with 2-1, and if he doesn't, if he's able to, if he's able to take a 2-1 here, then that'll make the last turn really interesting. But I'm hoping to score the middle also, and just kind of make it a little bit more of an easy final turn. And so we're doing some more shooting. He's still trying to kill that one stormtrooper unit at the bottom, but they've got 2 left. They're still all right. And so Krennic's going to go, and she's shooting the Pathfinders, and they are dead. So that was his makeshift commander, and now I'm hoping that those troopers at the back will panic, but he makes Chewie his commander, which is unfortunate because Chewie is just in range of those guys, and I was hoping that I could force them to panic, but now they're not going to be able to panic. So Chewie is just in range of that objective, so he has some options on how he wants to do this. So shooting the the stormtroopers again at the left, and not able to get them dead, but more suppression. So my one snowtrooper that's left comes out, gives them another suppression, and then moves back. They rally. They still have 2 suppression. They would panic, but Chewie is just in range, and I didn't know that he was just in range at the time. So at this point in real life, I was screaming, "No!" because that would have been great. But that's not what happened. So now I'll activate my stormtrooper unit with a DLT, try to get some suppression out there and try to kill somebody. So we're going to take a shot on his sniper, and then take a shot from a regular stormtrooper on a regular unit. The sniper gets 2 hits, but rolls 1 block, so only loses the non-leader, which is the non-sniper. That's one of those things about the strike team too, is that the heavy weapons is the final remaining guy. And we're actually getting down to like the shorter turns because so many units have been killed at this point. And we keep knocking that thing over too. I probably need to put some weights on that. Of course, where it ended up being like the exact center of the battlefield was kind of a slightly less than flat area, because I used some special effects for the water, but it bubbled up a little bit in the Florida heat of my garage, so now it's all wonky. Looks kind of like bubbling lava. All right, so last turn I played, or 5th turn I played Ambush. Sean again just had standing orders, so I'm able to just go first. Of course, I give the Death Trooper a command, and then I give Ambush's command to Krennic, and I have all the core in the pile, so I have, pretty much full control. And he gave his order to Chewie, so I'm going first here, and I think we just need to take some shots on Chewie, try and get some damage on Chewbacca, because at this point he's going to hurt. He's going to come in there, and I'm not going to have enough dice to take his health down, because he's only got, I think, 3 damage on him. So we get a little bit more, and now it all comes down to if he can take out. I've got 2 units that have like 2 or less guys. No, I think almost all of my units have 2 or less guys in them. The only one that can really do a lot of damage is the snowtroopers, because the flame trooper's still alive. And Krennic can do a little bit of damage. So Krennic will attack those rebel troopers. He takes out 1 more, but he's just trying to suppress them to keep them. And it was a good thing, because they still have 1 suppression, so they're only getting 1 action. And I want to slow them down. I don't want them making a rush for the center, if anything. And I don't want them to be able to aim and shoot, because and I do take out my DLT, which is really a pain, because I needed that guy, because he was at least 2 dice for 1 mini. And I just can't roll the red defense dice for anything. So at this point, this one trooper is just going to move away, and hopefully, I can at least take him towards the bottom control point and get him out of range of everybody else. Kind of hopefully hide him behind trees, and then his sniper activates and kills my 1 Death Trooper that was next to Krennic, so he didn't get to activate. And now I'm down to 4 units. 4 units left, so not very many units left. Trying to figure out what to do with my snowtroopers that are over here at this point, because they're out of range of being able to hit anybody with the flamethrower, but they're going to do a partial move right through the trees. I had a nice line of nice shot on either Chewbacca or the rebel troopers, but they took a shot on Chewbacca, didn't get any damage in, and then moved behind the building there just to kind of keep them alive. And then Chewbacca moves and kills my my other rebel troopers, and now I'm down to 3 units. Krennic and I think 2 snowtrooper units. Or that's a stormtrooper. Yeah. And then we're on turn 6, and I'm going to play my other 2 pip. So I'm just going first. Oh no, it's the generic 3 pip that I played. So just everybody gets a... No, it's a 2 pip. Yeah, it was push. But I've just got Krennic and core, so... So we're taking a shot right there at Chewbacca with this that Clone Commander Crabbok Stormtrooper unit and everything that's left there. But he'll move up and he'll melee them. And he's got charge now. And he rolls 3 damage, lots of damage. And they still have a couple of people alive. But we're left with 2 troopers alive in that unit. And that's what I get for attacking Chewie, giving him charge. But at least that means that that unit is safe now. So at least we're tied at the center. And for this last turn, it really boils down to, can I kill that unit on the right-hand side? Because they can just double move and get to the objective. And can I kill them and then also move Krennic and get him in range of the centerpiece? Because the snowtroopers might be able to make it there, but they might not. I'm not really certain if they can quite get there. I don't think they can. And then also, for that measure, then who's going to control the bottom piece for me? Because I'm really about to lose, unless I just happen to roll perfectly. So Krennic does not manage to kill them. Instead, he, and I realize he's kind of not in range to get to the middle one either. So I just move him back, and he's just barely in range of holding the bottom zone. So I'm okay there. So I at least have the bottom one. We're tied for the top one. But Sean's got 3 more units at the top of the screen, so he's just like, all right, well, it's time to just double move. And this is where I know that it's over, because he's got them in range. And now he's got the advantage for the middle. And unless my snowtroopers can move and shoot and then move again and happen to get in range, then and then they miss and then they whiff it. So I can't stop those guys, and this is where we kind of call it, because I can't get to the middle. But I think he finishes activating, and he does kill my snowtroopers, and that's where we shook hands, and that's the end. So this is the end of the game state. We are just, Krennic did good. The snowtroopers did good, and it just kind of got away from me. And the things that he was able to just keep whittling me down is what really hurt. So Pierce was really the MVP. The snipers, the Chewbacca's bowcaster, Han Solo, all those Pierce really hurt the Death Troopers. That's all I got for you guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day.